Yeah.
Okay, it took me a while. Sorry, guys. I apparently went into the wrong one. It was next in my list of meetings here, so I will go mute and we'll go continue on. I think almost everybody made it. Oh, Danny made it too. Good, good. Nice to have you here, Danny. So hopefully we'll have some more people that will be joining us too. So off to you, Becca.
Sounds great. All right. So we left off on interviews and what to do before an interview. And I had mentioned to practice and research the company. You don't have to go too far when researching a company to find out really what's important to them. Right away, few answers to involve what's important to that organization. That again is going to help you set yourself apart from other candidates. Another good example would be to hop out to Apple Careers, and you can find out pretty quick from their career page just what kind of people they're looking for. It says right on there, they're looking for bright people who are passionate, innovative, and who know how to make an impact. So right there, that's giving you some great information that can help really supercharge your answers for those interview questions. So just to give you a little bit of information about what to expect when you start applying for different positions. At Great America, this is our interview process, understanding that different organizations are going to go through a different process. So this is just how ours looks. What really kicks off that application or the interview process is the application. So going out to the website, filling out the application in its entirety, along with submitting a resume and cover letter. Once that gets reviewed, if it looks like you're a good fit for that particular position, we will invite you in for the first step in the candidate assessment process. That involves a pre-employment exercise and an opportunity to meet with some hiring leaders. From that, along to that stage is a behavioral-based interview, a job shadow with someone in the function, so you get to see what that role is like, and then an opportunity to have a conversation with someone in our human resources team. And that's really an opportunity to just discuss the nitty-gritty details on start date and compensation and all of those good things, but then also to ask any questions that just didn't feel like they fit in well with some of the other interviews that you had. We also check references, and then the last step, which is the fun one, is the offer. So I wanted to share some information with you about the behavioral-based interview questions. These will stand out to you when you hear things like, tell me about a time when, or when you were presented with this type of situation, what did you do? It's really trying to get at how you behaved in different situations. Because employers want to know when you're faced with a challenge at work or a situation that was maybe a little stressful or an opportunity for you to learn something new, how did you handle that situation in your past? Because that'll really kind of tell them how you might handle those situations in the workplace. So a great way to approach those answers is with share. And really, you're just going to share what happened. So what the issue was, and then what were the challenges? That's H. So explain the hindrances. What did you have to overcome in that situation? Explain the actions that you took. Be really specific. Try to avoid generalities in these answers. Employers want to know, what did you do? If you worked in a team, what did your team do? But then also highlight what you did within that team. It's important for employers to know that you can work well in a team, but also individually. So highlight both of those aspects. Share the result. What happened? Don't share what the outcome was, and then save yourself a little bit of time at the end there for reflection or evaluation, and share what you learned. If you had to go back in and relive that particular situation, what might you have done differently? That reflection can also help set you apart. You may have also heard of the STAR method for behavioral-based interviews. It's basically the same. It's just explain the situation, your task, your action, and then the result. But I like the SHARE method better because it throws in that opportunity for you to evaluate and reflect at the end. All right, so something else that will help you in those behavioral-based interviews is understanding what is important to the role. What are some common traits? I would print off the job description for the role that you're applying for and really study it and understand what's important. What are they wanting the individual to have in their tool belt prior to coming into that role. Provide details, be specific, and have a good amount of supporting information in those answers. Again, provide examples of when you worked in a team and individually. Show initiative. I know that talking about yourself is probably not your favorite thing to do if you're like most people, or if you're like me. I feel that it can feel a bit like I'm bragging or that I'm pompous, but that goes out the window when you're in an interview. This is your opportunity to shine. If you downplay yourself, chances are so will the employer, and you won't get the role. So talk about yourself. Highlight all of your wonderful qualities and the skills that you have, and show in your examples and your answers that you're willing to take initiative and that you're willing to be the leader. You're willing to do X, Y, or Z that set you apart from other candidates. And then practice. Again, grab a buddy who will be candid but not intimidating, and practice, practice, practice. All right, some common questions that you might hear that aren't behavioral-based interview questions are just simple ones, right? What do you know about the company that you're applying to? Why do you want to work there? Something, as a hiring leader, I would ask, what are your strengths and weaknesses? What are your career goals? This can really help me understand, okay, as your leader, this is how I can help you be more successful in the role should we move forward. Another question that you absolutely must be prepared for is, what questions do you have for me? It does not send a great message if you don't have any questions for the hiring leaders or for whomever you're speaking to in that interview. You want to go in prepared. So something that I like to share is, while you might go through several interviews and speak with different interviewers or hiring leaders, it is okay for you to ask them the same questions. It's really interesting to hear their answers and to see, are they aligned or do they all share something different? That can give you a really good perspective into the organization and a leadership, especially depending on the questions that you're asking. So the interview is not just an opportunity for the employer to get to interview you. It's an opportunity for you to interview the employer and make sure that you feel good about the role and the company that you're applying to. So have questions prepared. And then afterwards, a thank you note is wonderful. A handwritten thank you note is great. If you don't have the opportunity, an email is okay too, but do it really timely. The same day is awesome. The day after is okay, but avoid taking your time to get those out. Before you leave the interview, ask for a deadline so that you understand when someone might be reaching back out to you and how they will follow up. If the allotted time, give them time to kind of debrief on their end and figure out what their next steps are. But if they don't meet the deadline they share with you, it's okay for you to touch base. Just be respectful and say, hey, I'm really interested in this role. I had a really great conversation with Bobby Joe Sue, and I'd really like to understand, what the status of my application is. You can connect with those hiring leaders or the folks that you met with on LinkedIn. That shows, hey, I'm engaged. I want to form a relationship with you. So that's a wonderful thing to do. If you are presented with a job offer, you have some options. If you're really excited about the role and everything sounds perfect, it's everything that you wanted, it's okay to accept the job offer on the spot when they make a phone call to you. It is also okay to say, you know what, this all sounds great. I really appreciate the opportunity here. I just would like to take some time to think this through and reflect. You can ask that. Just be reasonable in your ask. A couple of days is totally fine. A couple of weeks that's pushing it. Employers right now in the job market that we have, employers want to fill their roles as soon as possible. So just be mindful of that when you ask to take some time to think about that offer. All right. And then, when you receive a job offer and it's not everything that you wanted, just again, keep in mind there's been probably a lot of work that's gone into that job offer on the employer end. So be respectful, thank them for the opportunity again, but just let them down easily and say, thank you, but no thank you. It's just not the right fit for me, and give them some feedback as to why, if they ask for it. As you approach graduation, it's very likely that you'll send applications out to multiple employers, and it's possible that you get offers at the same time. So just be mindful of that as those offers start to come in, and ask for that time to think. And then do get back to the employer within that timeline that you've asked for. If you can speed that up a little bit and get back to them by the deadline that you've set, that's an even better show that you're engaged and really excited about that role. Okay, so now let's talk about on the job. So you've got the job. The first day is probably going to be a little overwhelming. They're going to throw a lot of information your way. And that's just the nature of the first day on the job. Everything is going to be new to you. So my best advice is, hydrate well in advance, get a really good night's rest, fuel yourself for the day ahead, and prepare to be engaged. The folks that you are going to be joining are probably really excited to bring you on board. They are going to share a lot of information with you and probably expect you to engage and ask questions and share some things from your own experiences. So again, be ready and be engaged and have fun. You will go through a series of training at Great America. What that looks like is classroom and need-a-need training. And this is a wonderful time for you to start to build your network, kind of picking out the people in the organization that you can really connect with and build a relationship with over the course of your training. Understand pretty much right away, heaven forbid something happen and you can't show up to work on your second day, you know how to make that connection and let the right people know. All right, so succeeding in the workplace, you're really in charge of your career. So be ready to meet the needs of today's employers. And we'll talk about some keys for your success there. We'll talk about problem solving at work, what to do if you have an idea, how to handle challenges, and some communication best practices. Okay, so today employers, they need practical information. What employers want to avoid are those vague impressions or opinions or negativity, right? Come with practical information that you can convey in a concise and efficient manner. Um, Employers expect that things are clear. They will try to convey to you the expectations and your responsibilities in a really clear manner. So you kind of flipping that around and providing information back to them that's clear is really important as well. When you're making a recommendation, they want compelling and persuasive arguments, right? Have the proof to back up the information that you're providing. When you come with ideas, make sure that they're well thought out ideas. Do a little ROI exercise before you move that idea up the ladder. Employers also want good written and verbal communication skills. So someone who's not afraid to have a conversation with their leaders, and they are confident in their ability to send an email to customers, right? So practice those good communication skills. They will definitely come in handy in the workplace. What employers want from new graduates. From you, they are going to expect that you can organize your thoughts logically and thoroughly and be able in verbal format. They would expect that you're able to persuade using expressive ideas. So be compelling in your communication. They also expect that you have the ability to read and extract meaning from other people's messages. Sometimes this is going to be the words that are actually on the email, and sometimes it's going to be what's in between the lines. So having the ability to do that is really key. And then the ability to communicate with people from diverse backgrounds. Depending on where you land in your career, you could be working with a global organization, you could be working with customers that are located across the country, or you could be working with people in your own backyard. So just understanding who your customer and your coworkers are and be able to communicate with them effectively is going to be really important. Something that's going to be really important to you in your career is having that high degree of integrity. The decisions that you make in your career, in your workplace, should be decisions that land you on the front of the newspaper for the right reasons. You don't want to land on the front of the paper for the wrong reasons. And integrity is probably one of the stakes in the ground that you can place and just have that be your guiding star. So, Dr. Martin Luther King, he says, the time is always right to do what is right. And I love that quote, right? Because with your customers, with your coworkers, they want you to do the right thing. They want you to show up on time. They want you to bill correctly. Just do the things that you want to happen when you're a customer or a coworker, right? It's like that golden rule kind of thing. Okay, so keeping your integrity, be authentic. People can kind of sniff out the fakeness pretty quick, so be yourself. Practice self-discipline. Sometimes doing the right thing, it's not always the easy thing. Be responsible, keep your word. Follow-up is really important, especially in customer service. Customers want information when they are told that they are going to get it. So follow up, keep your word, and again, do the right thing. I cannot stress that one enough. All right, so another key to your success in the workplace is effective problem solving. As a leader, I can't tell you how many problems we encountered in my team, and it was really great when someone would come up with an issue and say, hey, there is this issue going on. Here's what I found. I think this is, the root of the problem, and here's what we can do to fix it. That was so much better to hear than, have you heard about this problem? This isn't working, and that's not working, and I can't do my job, and I'm going home. Now, granted, it was never that bad, but you get the idea, right? Coming with a solution is a lot better situation to kind of kick off the fix than complaining. So When it comes to problem solving, understand the issue first, right? Is it a behavioral issue? Is it an issue with a policy? Is it a technology issue? Is it a user error with technology? So really kind of diving in and finding out what's the root. And then explore solutions. You know, sometimes the solutions are pretty easy. And sometimes they're going to be pretty costly. So when you come up with those ideas for solutions, be creative and have multiple ideas, because resources are not unlimited. And implementing a long-term solution, it might be pretty costly. So be flexible. When choosing a strategy, understand that a solution might come in phases. So there might be a quick fix in the interim to kind of put a Band-Aid on the problem. And then there might be a long-term fix that you work towards over a period of time. When you choose a solution, it is so important to let people know, to communicate that, hey, this is not working in its current state. We have a solution. Here's how we're going to implement it, and here's why we're going to implement it. So making sure that people understand what and why are very important, and also when. Timing that message is really key. Too soon and people forget about the solution because too much time has gone by, and too late, and that causes its own unique set of issues when people are not informed in a timely manner. So again, when thinking of problem solving, be creative and objective. Think about the issue objectively and get others involved. You know, put those collective heads together and brainstorm. That's really kind of an exciting time when you get to throw some ideas up on the board and see what sticks, so to say. Another thing is how to handle pushback. One thing that I've worked on myself is, you know, try not to let emotions get in the way. Be objective and practice really good listening skills. When you do encounter pushback, and you will, you know, try to get ahead of it and understand what questions you might get and be prepared to answer those. And again, I mentioned communicating the what and the why. When you're communicating a change, it's really important to start with the why. You know, why it benefits our customers, why it benefits you as a coworker or a teammate, why it's good for the organization. If people can understand kind of the core of where you're coming from, they will have greater buy-in to that change. And also, you may have heard of a WIFM statement, but it's a what's in it for me statement. And if you can really drive that home to whomever you're communicating to as far as the change and why it is good for them that that change is made, that's going to help them buy in even more. If those people can be part of creating the solution and implementing it, the buy-in will be even greater, because people take, they get that vested interest when they help create something. So those are some things to keep in mind when you encounter problems in the workplace. Deb, how are we doing on time? Deb?
Yes, I'm sorry. I was talking without being unmuted. I think we have
I
at
did
least,
my heart to sink.
we have at least 10 minutes left. I haven't gotten any kind of warning, so
Okay.
we're good. We're good.
Okay. Good
and
deal.
the class technically goes till 10 till 2. So, you know, we really have 20 minutes if the recording will last that long.
Okay.
We'll go from there.
Sounds great. Thanks, Deb. Okay. So along with challenges, you know, ideas in the workplace, these are something that just continue to be needed. You know, as companies strive to achieve that competitive advantage, those ideas are key. So keep them coming, keep the innovative kind of juices flowing, be creative, but understand that there is a time and a place to share those ideas in the workplace. If you have a forum, Great America is really thoughtful on this. We have idea forums where individuals in the organization can share their ideas pretty much anytime they want to. Now there is some criteria that they have to put in with their ideas, and it just helps them put some more meat on the bones of the ideas so that it's just a really well thought out idea. If you end up in an organization that doesn't have an idea platform like that, it's okay. Just understand what is their recommended path of sharing ideas. Is it you go to your leader or a committee? Understand that. When people bring you ideas in the workplace, I like to use the point method. And there's a resource at the end of the slides that Deb will share with you that can give you some more information on this. But basically, it means that instead of you shutting down the idea, based on instincts, because we are animals and we have this little gator brain in the back of our mind. You might have heard it called lizard brain. That is the fight or flight mechanism in our brain. And when new ideas pop up, they're scary and the brain just wants to squash them. So instead of letting the gator brain take over, refrain from squashing those ideas and think about, if we did this new idea, what would be the pluses? What would be the benefits of pursuing this idea? What are the opportunities that this new idea creates? Issues can come along with new ideas. So being thoughtful around, okay, if we went with this new idea, how might we overcome some of these issues? This is really the way that some organizations can get ahead, is just being thoughtful about the new ideas and approaching them in kind of a positive, optimistic way. New thinking, so brainstorming. Change up the thinking to really generate solutions to overcome the critical issues that you thought about in that previous step in the point method. So again, long story short here, don't squash ideas. Give them an opportunity to kind of grow and develop, and you never know what might come of those new ideas. Communication in the workplace is, this is a huge topic, and we've only got a few minutes, so I've really tried to condense it down here. When you think about communication in the workplace, it's really important to understand what is the message, who is the audience, and what's the urgency. If it's something that involves just two parties, and it might be a little bit challenging, maybe there's some conflict going on, I recommend having a face-to-face conversation with that individual. Yeah, it might feel a little awkward and you might feel a little uncomfortable in addressing a conflict situation. But I tell you what, it is a lot better than sending an email where they can insert their own tone into your words. So face-to-face is really beneficial. You get the opportunity to use your own tone. You get to insert your own body language and those nonverbal cues. And it helps that message resonate a lot more with the recipient of your message.
Becca?
Yep.
We have 9 minutes.
Excellent. Okay, so let's say that face-to-face is not an option. Phone is probably the next best thing. And with the phone, you don't get those nonverbal cues, but you can get tone to come through in your messaging. When people call you at work, it's really important to give them your full attention. And I guess when they visit your desk too, face-to-face, give them the undivided attention. Have a smile in your voice when you answer the phone, and don't let it go to voicemail if you don't have to. Um, that just speaks to your character. It shows that you take initiative and you want to get things done and you want to be helpful. So answer those phone calls. If you do have voicemail, you'll definitely want to check it often and respond to those messages promptly, especially if it's a customer. And I'll tell you, you have two types of customers. You have the external customers, the ones that buy your products and services, and you have the internal customers too. So those are your coworkers and your leaders. So respond to everyone quickly. Um, you you might not get a message if you have voicemail. Customers don't like to wait. They know that if they leave you a message, they probably won't get a call back, and that's because they've been conditioned by other organizations. So try to break that trend and call them back right away. When you are communicating on a large scale, or you have some information that needs to get out to a number of people, you'll definitely want to be timely in your communication. Again, I mentioned too early and people forget, too late and people won't have the right information when they really need it. So really assess the priority in the audience. And then what is the level of urgency and the impact your message will have? Does it make sense to get people together in a meeting setting or a class type setting? Or is the change or the information that you're communicating, is it okay to send in an email? So just understand that the communication method that really should match the urgency and the importance of the message, and then adjust accordingly. All right. Moving on to email communication in a little bit more in depth here. If you have an angry customer, email is probably not what you want to use. Give them a call. What I used to do when I was in a collection role is I would get an email from an angry customer and I would give them a couple of hours to settle and simmer before I called them back. So sometimes when you get an email from an angry customer, that's really their opportunity to just get it all out there and vent. When you call them back, after allowing them time to settle, they can at times be a bit more rational and easier to communicate with. So give it some time. If you have them on the phone and they're angry, listen, but avoid the yep, okay types of responses that sometimes we can get in the habit of doing that just encourages them to keep going. You'll want them to get what they need to say out and then let it be done. Take a breath and then respond. Try not to interrupt them if you don't have to. Now, if they're being belligerent or offensive, it's okay to interrupt and say you don't have to take that. Or follow your company's policy on what to do with angry customers. But I say, if you're swearing at me, I don't have to listen, and we can talk later when you're cooled down. Okay, so back to email communication. Determine really when it's appropriate to use. Knowing that you get tons of email already, sometimes things get buried. So if it's important, but it has a lot of content, it needs to go out in an email, but it's not going out to a lot of people. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll email it and then I'll make a phone call and say, hey, just wanted to let you know I sent an email, be on the lookout for that. When you are emailing, understand that it's not texting, it's a business communication. So you want to slow down and make sure that the message that you're sending is professional and it matches your audience. And again, in order to match the audience, you've got to know your audience. So is it your boss? Is it your coworker? Is it a customer that you're replying to? Just understand that and what's appropriate and what's not. In email, it is not a good idea to joke around or try to insert humor in email. As a leader, I have had a number of instances where someone else has come to me about one of my team members because of a joke or something that they put in an email. You know, we all work together, we're adults, but sometimes those jokes just don't come across well in a written format. They come across as sarcastic or condescending. So just don't do it. The person, you never know what kind of mood they're going to be in when they read your email, and they might insert their own emotions and feelings, and you don't want to do that. So avoid those jokes and humor, and keep the message matter of fact or positive. Avoid negativity. Again, proofread, know your audience and proofread, and read it back to yourself. If it's a really important email and it's going to a lot of people, send it to yourself and read it later. Come back to it, or have a peer check and have someone else that you know and trust take a look at it before you send that out. The people I work with, we do that all the time.
Becca, we have 2 minutes left.
That
So
is
if you want to talk about internships, perfect.
You got it. All right. So if you are interested in a career at Great America, we are hiring, and we would love to see an application from you. So when you're ready, hop on out to our careers page. We do offer internships if you are at that point in your college education where an internship would be helpful to you. But just know that our internships are full for this coming summer. But in August or September timeframe, we will post our internships for the following summer. You can follow us on Glassdoor and Facebook to be kept up to date on company happenings, or you can go ahead and reach out to me on LinkedIn and connect with me, or just check back on our careers page for those new openings periodically.
Great.
Yes.
Well, almost everybody is silenced. They're muted, but we didn't even get a chance last time before we were cut off to thank you. So we have less than a minute left. So thank you so much for sharing. I've made a lot of notes, and the students are going to be creating reflection papers. And what I've told Becca is, if you have questions for her, please forward them to me, so that she's not getting 30 some emails with questions, and I'll compile them and give them all to her at one time. So let's give, if you can give it a clapping hand. You guys can't, but you can on your screen. Thank you. Thank you. And so thank you so much, Becca. You have a good rest of the week, okay?
Thank you so much for letting me come into your classroom today.
Absolutely.
Best of luck to you guys in your college careers.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, did anybody have any